guys, in this video we're going to be talking about multiplying and dividing integers. So I want you to look here and I want you to look at these problems and see if you can figure out what the pattern is for multiplying and dividing. See if you can find that pattern. So hopefully you were able to see a pattern. I wish we could talk, but you're just watching the video. So hopefully you noticed that if you have a positive and a negative, the answer is a negative. If you have a negative and a positive, the answer is a negative. If you have a negative and a positive, it's a negative. A positive and a positive is a positive. A negative and a negative is a positive. So let's fill in the rule. So make sure you fill in that blank with what you saw. So here's the official rule. Multiply and divide integers with different signs will give you a negative answer. Multiply and divide integers with the same sign, either both positive or both negative, will give you a positive answer. So I always draw this little sleeping dog or sleeping cat. I give him some ears because it's cute. So basically, you look at the two symbols that you have, and then the third can be will be your answer. So if you have a negative and a positive, your answer is negative. If you have a negative and a positive, your answer is negative. If you have a negative and a negative, your answer is positive. Obviously, positive and positive is just positive. So I'm going to write a little positive, and negative is negative. Negative and positive is negative. Positive and positive is positive. Negative and negative is positive. And again, that's all for multiplying and dividing. So all you have to do is multiply and divide like normal, and then just fill in your symbol. So let's do some practice. 7 times 9 is 63. Negative and a negative is a positive, so your answer is just 63. You can fill it in by using the drawing tool or typing it in. 22 times 6, let's do it out. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 1, 13. 1 negative, 1 positive, so it's negative 132. 75 divided by 3 goes in 2 times. Bring that to 5. The answer is negative 25. 12 times 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 1, 96. And it's a negative and a positive, so it's a negative. And then 242 divided by 11. Negative and a negative, so it's a positive 22. 56 divided by 4 goes in 1 time. 4 times 4. And then that's a negative and a positive, so it's a negative 14. And then 13 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 39. Negative and negative is a positive. And then 108 divided by 9 is 12. It's a negative and a positive, so it's a negative. So the first one, we had 2 negatives, so it's a positive. The second one, 1 of each, so it's negative. The third one, 1 of each, so it's negative. The fourth one, 1 of each, so it's negative. The fifth one, both positive, or both negative, so it's positive. The next one, 1 positive, 1 negative is negative. Then 2 negatives is positive, and 1 of each is negative. So look at this real quick and see if you can figure out what this rule is. What happens when you multiply by more than 2 negatives? Okay, so a negative and a negative is a positive one, remember? So let's do this one. Negative and a negative is positive. So now we have a positive times a negative, which gets us a negative. A negative and a negative is a positive, times a negative is a negative. A negative times a negative is a positive 1. And then same thing, negative and negative is positive 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1 times negative 1, which is positive 1, times -1, which gives you -1. So if you look, this first one is 2 negatives, the next one's 3, the next one's 4, and the next one's 5. So does anyone see a rule? If there's an even number of positives, it is positive. If it is an odd number of negatives, it is negative. Okay. Go ahead and make sure you have all the notes filled in and come ask us if you have any questions.